Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this Red Gaming Tech video. My name is Amata and I hope you're having an amazing day. Just a quick note for those of you wondering, Paul is doing just fine. He's just a little bit under the weather the last couple of days, but he is feeling much better and will be back on the channel cranking out content very shortly. But for today, we're going to jump into our first topic, which is regarding the next-gen flagship from AMD, a little bit from Nvidia, but we are mostly focusing on RDNA 3 here. Now, I think we can all agree that on all the recent reports, leaks and rumours and whatnot, both RDNA 3 and RTX 40 from Nvidia are sounding pretty damn exciting, not even just because of the promised performance gains in comparison to the current architecture, but obviously the architectural changes themselves, which are going to be a big move for both companies. The first, consumer MCM design from AMD and so on and so on, but and one consistent thread that's kept popping up with the next-gen rumours is power consumption. And now we have another tweet from Grayman55, who should need no introduction at this point, who said, quote, "I need to change my point of view. I think it is possible for the power consumption of AMD's next-gen flagship card to reach 500 watts or even higher." And again, this should sound very familiar to a lot of you because this is far from the first time that we've been hearing that both AMD's RDNA 3 and RTX 40 are both very demanding on the old power consumption. In fact, we've been hearing from one of our sources that if you were to assign a star rating to the power consumption, more stars is more power consumption, then RTX 40 would be a 5-star rating and RDNA 3 would be a 3.5 to 4-star rating. Now, while we've been hearing that RDNA 3 is very power hungry, but perhaps a little bit less power hungry than RTX 40, but still not exactly light on the old power supply, there have been some slightly inconsistent reports when it comes to RDNA 3, but again, we've been hearing that it is pretty damn high on the power consumption, and obviously Grayman here is reporting the same thing, and Grayman obviously is pretty damn reliable, and our sources have been pretty reliable as well. And Grayman did have a little bit to say about Lovelace as well. He also said that the power consumption of Nvidia is much higher than expected, and that AMD's power consumption will be very exaggerated, and that RDNA 3's power consumption will also increase based upon this. Now, another thing that we've also been hearing is that the flagship cards for the RDNA 3, the full fat Navi 31 RDNA 3 card, is going to be very expensive. Now, obviously, in this early stage where we don't have the final prices from AMD or even an official reveal of the cards, the price is far from settled, but we've been hearing that for the very tippy top of RDNA 3, you better have your savings in order because it's not exactly going to be cheap. Now again, this is just for the flagship Navi 31 SKU in the RDNA 3 lineup, but still, this is what we've been hearing. And speaking of Nvidia's power consumption, you undoubtedly will recall that we had a new power cable standard for the Ampere graphics cards, and now we've kind of learned a bit more thanks to videocards.com as to why Nvidia was so eager to push this new standard for their Ampere graphics cards, and this cable that was added for that is actually identical to the upcoming PCIe Gen 5 standard cable. Both of them appear to use the same Molex Microfit 3.0 design, and the new connector is rated up to a maximum theoretical current of 648 watts. So considering what I just said about the potential power requirements of both RDNA 3 and RTX 40, Nvidia's keenness to push this new power standard definitely makes a lot more sense. You could argue they were essentially laying the groundwork for RTX 40 to be a bit of a power-hungry beast. Now obviously this is just going to be for the top-end cards that you really have to take that power consumption into consideration. However, it is undoubtedly going to mean a new purchase of a new power supply for many gamers if they decide to go for the flagship card on either RDNA 3 or RTX 40. Now again, all of this is rumour, even if it's from reliable sources, so the usual pinch of salt TM is required. And staying on the topic of Nvidia for a moment, apparently we're going to be getting yet more RTX 30 and RTX 20 cards entering the market. And this info comes from Hongsheng 2020 over on Twitter, who you may remember from a previous report that Nvidia were prepping 3 new cards for launch early next year. Now, according to their new information, we're going to be seeing a 3080 12GB variant, and that is far from the first time we've had that, as I'm sure you remember, as well as an RTX 3070 Ti 16GB GPU and a RTX 2060 12GB are going to be unveiled as well. And now, as for dates for all of this, according to their information, we're going to be seeing the 12GB 3080 and 16GB 3070 Ti unveiled on the 17th of December, whereas the 2060 12GB is going to be unveiled and launched on the same day of the 7th of December. And apparently we're going to be seeing the new RTX 30 series cards on the actual retail shelves by January the 11th. So the TLDR of that is that we're going to be seeing the RTX 30 series come out in January on the 11th, and the RTX 20 is going to be unveiled and launched on the 7th of December. So obviously, if this is true, we don't have to wait all that long at all to actually find out how true these rumours are, because, well, the unveiling is allegedly going to be happening soon. And you won't be scratching your head thinking, okay, why are Nvidia doing this? Well, it's one of their ways to try and basically address the shortages that are going on, which are apparently expected to go into 2022. But a lot of gamers are undoubtedly frustrated with both Nvidia and AMD at the moment, and probably feel that launching more cards that they probably won't be able to purchase is not really the solution. However, at least according to these rumours, that is what Nvidia are attempting to do, and obviously releasing more cards, especially the older cards that will be a little easier to produce, is one way to try and tackle them. You know, more GPUs on shelves means more chances for gamers to actually get their hands on them. How popular these end up being? Well, I think it honestly depends on what changes we'll be seeing made to these cards to obviously differentiate them from their brothers and sisters in terms of differences and improvements in specifications, but obviously we will have to wait and see what Nvidia has to say on that in the upcoming month. So with that said, we're going to move on to our final topic for today, which is some potentially good news for UK gamers, as according to a report from The Sun, yes I know, Sony is reportedly airlifting 3 Boeing 747s worth of PS5s in time for the holidays, which is pretty damn crazy. Apparently each of these planes, which are flying from South Korea to London, is loaded with about 50 pallets of PS5 consoles, which obviously makes perfect sense. You know, the holidays is a really important time for both Sony and Microsoft, and many gamers have simply not been able to get their hands on a PlayStation 5 because, well, you know, everything. I don't think I really need to explain how screwed up the situation is at the moment trying to get a hold of consoles or one of the current gen graphics cards. But Sony allegedly said to The Sun, quote, "A phenomenal operation has been underway to stock UK shelves of PS5s for Christmas. Sony just wants to keep fans happy after a slew of issues with the new kit, and this is an unprecedented airlift. This 747 plane is rare after being decommissioned by British Airways, but carries a vast amount of cargo as a freighter aircraft. Each plane can bring in 100 tons of equipment on almost 50 pallets. It means millions of gamers will now be smiling this Christmas." So fingers and toes crossed that these PS5s actually manage to make their way into, you know, the hands of gamers on retail shelves and not in the hands of scalpers. But for those of you who have been still struggling to get a next-gen Sony console, this may be exactly what you've been praising for. Anyway guys, that is me done for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, do remember to like and subscribe, just help out a great deal, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.